Hello YouTube friends, welcome to the Red Parrot channel. I am your host Mary Ellen. Today we are going to do another jelly print roundup. Kirsten at Quirky Queens has been doing jelly prints like crazy, and she has inspired me to try some of the techniques that she has used and just roll up my sleeves and get a little messy. So I really appreciate that inspiration, Kirsten. Let's get into it. So the jelly print, I'm just going to review what I have done and some of the techniques. And then the roundup is me taking some of the process charts that we have got and create a permanent record of how to do some of these things. So that'll be in sort of the part 2. So let's get into it. So what are we doing here? Okay, so I have a wood print. And I have been doing a lot of wood block printing. And I get the wood blocks at places like Canadian Tire, the dollar store, and they are those thin, almost chip pressboard pieces that you could use as tiles to paint, so on and so forth. And they have usually a great shape to them that can be wood blocked. This is an alphabet template, and what did I do? I put the dark red down first, the template over top, but in reverse so that when I actually lift it off, you can read the letters, and then created that. So this is for Defemember. I created it for a piece of ephemera that I was making for it, and I think I might not be doing any more Defemember. We can discuss that sort of in dribs and drabs. So alphabet turned out really well. Appreciate that. Next one is numbers, and so I was trying to get Christmas colors. I think I might have done it in that order, and then just tried to do a red on red. Maybe not. Got some other elements as well. And this one also turned out pretty good. For, oh, I might sneeze, hang on. And now that I've announced it, I don't need to. One of the things that I find fun about this is you could do an 8-9 or an 8-8-9 or, a 4-5-5 to create a non sort of 5-5 or just a single number. You can also do them in a vertical way, and you would get 3 different numbers as well. So lots of options. And hashtags and some punctuation. This is a piece of roll off, and I was doing some, this is texture paste and some honeycomb, and that was also potentially for a Defemember. I'm going to sneeze. Pardon me, for real that time. Okay, this, lot to explain here. Let's start with taking these out. From my dollar store, the feather was an element for Defemember, and you can get these kinds of feathers. And so what I did was I took these, and then I'm going to flip it over, move this to the side. Side, please. There we are. And I fussy cut them. This one I got a little bit too close to the edge. Flew too close to the sun. Because what I wanted to do was use these feathers as a mask. And this was the quickest way that I knew of getting a mask that was substantial enough to withstand the putting on and then the peeling off. This is the start, and then this is what it would be like at the end. I didn't realize it at the time, and I don't know if you can see it, but there are gold pieces in this. There's gold ink down here. There's gold ink along here. And this figures prominently in the result. So this was me fussy cutting out the edges, and then I wanted to do that sort of the feather spine as well. So we got all those, and we're going to use those. I was using those as a mask. Get this out of the way. Understand what's going on there. There, I need this a little bit more out of the way. And so, also inspired by Kirsten is the use of tissue paper. So I went to while I was at the dollar store, I got some tissue paper and wanted to use that. The tissue paper, I think, has clearly a different texture to it, but also can be used, I think, more easily as a background and torn up and so on and so forth, whereas a piece of paper might be more journal pagey. Having said that, this would make a really nice journal page. So this was, what was this? This was this sort of brown paint, the feathers put down, face down in the paint. Important that it was face down, and you can see, this goes here. So you can see, maybe, I hope, that there are little speckles of gold, and the little speckles of gold did not adhere to the paint. So I was expecting just something like that, and really delighted that there was additional texture that came out on the feathers. And then I used a pink over top it. This one turned out really nicely. I like this one. And pink is sort of like a Christmas color. The tricky bit for me and tissue paper is putting it down without the folds. This was, I think, one of my first, no, it isn't. It's the peel off, so brown paint down, feathers on, and this is the feathers outside pull off that creates these borders. So in the order of operation, it would have been, I would have done this first, and I was also pleased that the tissue paper was able to get some of the feather spine, and then I applied the pink to it and pulled it off and got that. This was me doing similar kinds of things, but using paper, and still working on trying to figure out what is a good contrast. This goes in this order. So this was putting this light, sort of a taupe down, masks down, pulling off the mask outline, and then using a red paint to pull it off. And this is a much lighter piece. I think when I am slower and more mindful, things work out better. That's just what I'm going to say about that. There we are. And this, okay, so this is a more textured honeycomb. I don't know if you can see that. This would be a lovely base to even just lightly sponge over top to create some contrast for the raised part, and then maybe also drop some ink, put some water down, and then let it sort of run in between the spaces. More honeycomb. I think that's all I have to say about that. Okay, so another wood block. And this wood block was the one that I was dying to try. So this is part of a, I don't know what you call it. So there's another piece that has Santa Claus and reindeer, and these two little pieces here, they then create this sort of stand-up diorama. That's what I wanted to call it. Oh, look at me having access to words today. I really wanted to see how this wood print worked. I think there would be, before I started, I thought ombre would work really fun. And we'll see what happened. So, step number 1. A lot of ombre, really, really dark. I had black, this medium blue, and a light blue. And then when I pulled it off, I put green on this side to capture the trees, and then brown on this side to capture the deer. Didn't work so well. A lot of issues. Too dark, not enough contrast, bled over into the deer. Having said that, was really excited to see the results because proof of concept. I knew I could do it. Then it's just a question of how do we dial it in. Drop the black. That was a good decision. And so I only had really 2 colors. I had that medium blue and then the light blue. And then I added a moon, because who doesn't want to add a moon in that kind of a nighttime view? And this was just a piece of fun foam cut into a circle and put down. The color that I used to lift it off was silver. That looks very atmospheric, I think. Trying again. Don't know what I was doing there. I think this might have been a bit of a fail. And I don't know what I was doing that created it, though I do notice that I have added white. So I now have 3 colors. I have white, the light blue, and the dark blue. I changed the size of the moon. But there are some clearer bits. The trees are a little bit clearer there. And I'm also getting better at being able to press down the wood block. Ooh, this one was pretty good. So this one was, I think, straight blue and then straight brown. And then I used a yellow here. And you can see this gap here is me trying to sort of roll off into the edge with a brayer and having that natural space where I couldn't get into it. But happy with that. I think that might have been a better look. But certainly creating images now that I can use. And this is the last one that I did, which is very nice and slow. Everything is dry. I took my time with putting the paint down, letting it dry. That's what I mean by everything is dry. And then I have the white, medium, and dark blue. I have the moon again. And it looks like I am using the silver to pull everything off. This one I think turned out the best. The definition on the trees is really good. The antlers here is just really nice. So slow and steady, take the time to let it dry, calm your little body. That's that to me is the most successful one. And this is, you know, would be the flip side. Actually, that is literally the last pull that I have, because that matches that paint perfectly. So that's the way I would have done it. Anyways, very happy with that. Found another wood block at the dollar store. This one is a bird in a cage. And it just looked delicate, and it was a large wood block that I wanted to try. And so this, I think I was going too fast, didn't let the paint dry enough. And I give it maybe a 4 out of 10. But you could fussy cut out the bird, and you could use some of the greens and the textures and so forth for background. And I think I should do this for this one. And then this is the same kind of thing, but using tissue paper the dark green, and this is, I think that brass. And 100%, I let it sit and dry, and it dried almost too much and was starting to adhere to the jelly print surface. And I also got a fold in the middle, but this one I think was the better of the two. So like this one could do with some more work. Definitely proof of concept. Next one. So this is me using, so I'm not using any jelly printing at the moment. I have gone to using a makeup sponge and a stencil and just putting the stencil down onto, these are my roll-off sheets. So this is this one. It's a brown and a red. Brown and a red, actually. I should make a note of that. Brown and red is a good color combination. This brown in particular is just got a lot of flexibility to it. It goes with a lot of colors. So I was happy with that one. This is a different template, and it's just lines and leaves. This one I think was a little bit more successful because I used bits of differing color that created more visual interest. So that could have done with some red pops. I think I tried with that little bit of green, but it wasn't the right color. But this one is definitely better. This is book page. I like this one. The colors here, the yellow and that, I think it's kind of a plum with that green is good. This stencil is too dense. It is a very intense, it's that, but it gets lost in this. And then this is just more of the stencil in that general colorways. Me still doing the same thing. This is a very large single sort of ornate stencil that I have used the technique that I see Carrie do a lot, Carrie the crafter. He will put something down, do some sponging, pull everything up, and then turn it 90 degrees and put it down, turn it 90 degrees. And I found myself doing that to great success because it just forces you to see the paper differently. So I was happy with that. Oh, in the back. This was interesting because I was trying to figure out what colors would be seen against this. And I bizarrely, I don't know what I was doing with that. It might have been a moon from the deer in the trees stuff, but I have this circle and I really liked having this sudden geometrical shape. And then these are just all the red. So red and blue is two primary colors that have a good relationship. There's that. This is another kind of lattice work. And I am working on the edges here, trying to get rid of some of the white splotches. And then I think I started with the yellow and it wasn't enough contrast. And I also had way too much paint on my sponge. And you can see it all sort of messing through here, whereas a little bit less paint and you get a much clearer definition. And here I am back with the honeycomb. More dollar store wood prints. This is just a bunch of packages of little flowers. I wanted to see how this worked. So this is me creating the template, piece of cardboard. My jelly plate is 8 by 10, so this is 8 by 10. And I just ruled in the pencil 8 by 10 so that I could have a sense of placement for when I glued these down. And these are just using some standard glue to create this. So that's how that one worked. Super happy with the way that turned out. That is Poetic Plum and Bright Grass. Really nice how that came out. So another proof of concept. This works really, really well. And then one more, same, second verse, same as the first. Making wood prints, wood blocks like nobody's business yesterday. Same idea, 8 by 10 piece of cardboard, and I ruled them up so that I can get a sense of where the best placement is going to be. And then this is me pulling it off on a piece of tissue. So that's all we were able to get up to in terms of jelly printing. Now let's have a look at our maps here. So we have the setup, the pour paint. Am I satisfied? So some of the satisfieds, another no can be it's maybe here. It either is a no that goes this way, or it is a yes. So maybe it's here. So it's yes, finished. No, it's a base for next time. And then this is a stop. There. So that's a little bit better. So that's a little bit more interesting because there is this sort of waiting period. There's a collection of roll-offs that I have that aren't, I'm not going to do any more, but it's also not finished. It's in this sort of waiting fodder pool that I will bring forward the next time I do some jelly printing. Oh yes, we forgot our little bottom. So here's my glue book. So this was the wood block transfer. Now let's just make sure that we're okay. We have the setup, transfer paper, rag and bowl, newspaper. We also have a bowl or a container for the crusty bits. So that's when you open that paint, and around the rim of some of the paints, it is the dried paint that you don't want to open over top of your jelly plate because it will leave these hard pieces, but you need to put it aside somewhere, and having like a small, like an empty yogurt container or something and just throw them all in there, that's a useful thing to have set up for you. Pick the light and dark. One of the things that I have done here is I have arranged my paint. So I did this. I took the picture doing the light and the darks, and I was able to do, here's the light paint, here is the dark paint. I used to have them set up by Pure Color by Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet. Yeah, that's right. Green, G. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. But that doesn't help with this methodology. So I took a picture, converted the picture into black and white, and the ones that showed up as black or very dark gray became the darks, and then there was lights. There was 4 of the lights that wasn't dark but also wasn't light, and so they were in my medium pile. So I now have the colors arranged by tone more than color. So tone first, color second. The other thing that I did was I have dated all my paints in terms of the day, the month and year that I bought them. I have some 2019 paint, 2018 paint, and that paint has a lot of skin that's created on the inside of the paint that makes the pouring of it difficult. It's useful to know when you're opening that paint that you may have that problem, so that you can take preventative measures. You know what to expect. You're not going to sort of press really hard on your jelly plate. You're going to do that on the side, and then when the finally happens, it doesn't happen here. It happens over on your sort of palette. So those are some things that I have done here. So this is arrange by dark, medium, and light range paint, and also date paint. When purchased, there we are. You don't have to do the dark. You just have to do one or the other, and then you are going to do the contrast in the other. So place the wood blocks, ensure the imprint by pressing down. Yep. Remove box, wait for the paint to dry. For the love of Pete. Brayer on the light. Set it down, ensure contrast. Test a corner. Yep. Ready? Nope. I'm gonna wait some more. Pull off. Yes. Okay, so completely buy that. Some nice additions here and an addition here. That's good. And now we can do, so what was the other thing that we did? So this is wood block. So this is going to be, what process do we want to call this? Stenciling, I guess. On to roll off. Okay, that's what we're doing. What are we gonna do now? Wow, what did I do? So, choose page. Choose stencil. Choose color. Place color on palette. Possibly not the right palette. When I have a palette, what I am doing is a scrap of foil. You could also use scrap of paper. Carrie the crafter uses a ceramic tile. These are disposable. This is reusable. Use sponge to dab paint into the only thing I can think of is a non-puddle. Yes, we will work on this wording at some point. Okay? So this is place stencil and dab lightly. Do multiple layers. That means I haven't moved the stencil, but I am repeating the coverage, because if the paint is light enough, it's not going to go well the first time down, and so you need to sort of repeat until satisfied with paint coverage. Lift, stencil. I do it this way. Turn page 90 degrees. That's not a 90 degrees. There should be a question here, which is satisfied. Phooey. So satisfied, no, you do that. Satisfied, yes. You end. And then you rinse and repeat there. So that is stenciling onto a roll-off page. Not necessarily set in stone. Certainly this part here can be cleaned up. And there are lots of changes that you can make within this basic process, changing your colors, changing your stencils, putting more paint on your palette, all that kind of stuff. But a very good first pass, I would say. And this is December 7. There we are. Now let's address the idea here of the Ephemerember. I think I am going to stop doing Ephemerember. I find it, what do I find it? I find it not Christmassy enough, which is possibly my fault. I don't like having to wait until midday to know what animal to use. Also a responsibility of mine. And I need to make sure that I am taking care of myself before I am fundamentally participating in something else. So I much prefer having a Christmas journal than an ephemera journal. So I don't need to make any more of this ephemera. I can switch. I also would very much like to wake up in the morning and know what the prompt is, so that I have enough brain time to be able to figure out what I am going to do. And this doesn't give me enough brain time to get it all sorted out. So no harm, no foul. It's just me taking care of myself and doing something that suits me. Now on the hunt for a good Christmas prompt list. I think there's a couple out there, so I'll do some searching. I still want to keep these animals because I think these are useful and fun to enjoy, but certainly bees and elephants and whatnot, they aren't my idea of Christmas, and as much as I want to make it Christmas, it's not going to fit. So I do not need to square peg round hole this. There is no police coming after me. There is no nothing, except I need to enjoy myself. So if I'm not enjoying myself, I have the right to change. So not going to do any more of Defemorember, but I am going to find something and then probably do some Madness and Mayhem catch-up using this book, because it is supposed to be my December journal. I think that's all the updates that I have. If you can think of something, a good December journal to do instead, happy to entertain any of those thoughts. In the meantime, thank you so much for keeping me company. I always really appreciate being able to have a community of people that are out there playing around with journals and paper and paint, just like I am. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more episodes, and we'll see you soon. Bye now.